another Scripture Speaks video. And I got a very special episode for you guys today. I am interviewing a sister in Christ, and I want to give you some context to how this came about. Her father is a pastor. He was my pastor when I was at Chelsea Church of Christ. It was just something that he always said in his sermons. He said his children did not have a choice, and they were gonna serve Christ in the Fox house. This is April Fox, and I wanted to do this because my intentions is to help people to understand. Because I hear a lot of people say that they grew up in the church. Their fathers and their parents brought them up in the church. But the thing that happens is when they get out of their parents' house. And that's why I wanted to do this very special interview with April. So welcome to my channel, April.
Thank
Now,
you.
I want to start off and break the ice by saying when your father would say y'all didn't have a choice, now, how was that saying that y'all seeing is that he would say y'all didn't have a choice but to go to church and serve God?
Right. Well, part of it is, they didn't have any control over what we would do as adults, but as children living in their house, we were going to do what they said.
Right.
Um, of course, we know that you can't force someone to accept whatever religion it is or um, whatever lifestyle. But as far as physically getting up, getting dressed, going to the church house, that's what we were going to do in their house. And I mean, of course, I appreciate it. And I didn't, it just was, I mean, it was like, I didn't think of it of any other way. I mean, there's just no way I was going to tell them I'm not going. But that's just how it was, and they lived the example. It wasn't hypocritical or anything. I mean, they're very, very active, very supportive. Um, I mean, just anything that I might have needed if I asked. But as a young child, I mean, we were just involved in children's ministry, youth group. That's just that's just how it was in the Fox household.
Okay. So did that affect y'all as young kids, or did y'all ever feel like, man, why do we have to do this so much? Why are we going to church like this?
um, Only like when it seemed like we were just always there. There's something that my dad mentions often in his sermons how my sister would say, "Why don't we just build a house on this hill over here by the church? We always here." So it was like we were just always there. And
Yeah.
so that was something that is like, sometimes you miss out on some things, with friends and things, but not often.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just mostly Sundays. Um but yeah, that was really the only thing was that, man, we just always here. Why don't we just live on the church grounds?
And how did they take that? Like when
um
she would say that?
well, see, oh man, she was so young. We were so young. They probably, I mean, just laughed about it,
Yeah.
but they probably realized that, they understand that
Yeah.
this is a priority and
Right.
that we are going to do this. Like, so it wasn't a, why can't we stay home? No, my sister was like, no, why don't we just build a house here since
Right.
we already know we're going to be here.
Right.
So there's just no other way around it.
And so was it important for them when y'all were at home to make sure that you all understood why it was so important to be at church service? Did they make sure at the house that when not just living it but also praying and studying with you?
Oh,
You
for sure. I mean, there's just no doubt. My dad is, well, my mom too, but my dad is very much into studying and being in the word, and you just know it's not fake. It's not for show. Like he
Right.
really truly wants to understand, is going to study,
Yeah.
and he has to do that to be the leader that he is. Like he has
Right.
to, and my mom too. So for both of them growing up, um, and people think this is crazy, but I never heard my dad like yell or
Oh.
like my mom either, but my mom was a little more of a disciplinarian,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like the quiet one, but my sister
Right.
got it.
Always.
Sister
You can
got it.
tell she was the one spoke out.
Yeah, she got it. But just the demeanor in the household.
Hmm.
It was a praying house. Um, they were very like not necessarily strict, but
Right.
they made sure that what we watched, movies
Mm.
we watched, TV shows that we watched,
Right.
um, the people, the friends that we had, just trying to make
Right.
sure that you got a foundation that's strong, and and which is what they're supposed to do. The scriptures,
Right.
you're supposed to build up, So I know that they did that, so
Yeah.
that in the adulthood is just not even a question.
Right.
It may
Cause I
just.
you mentioned TV shows and
Hmm.
monitoring the TV shows. Were there TV shows that y'all let them know y'all wanted to watch and they were just like,
Man,
nope, nope.
I mean, I used to sneak and watch soap operas. I wanted to watch soap operas. In the summertime, like on
Right.
summer break, I'd be like on my little TV in my room. My sister be like, "What you doing?" I was like, "I'm watching my stories." And so, but like certain, like that was when MTV first started coming
Hmm.
up, and so there were certain things that they didn't, music videos and songs they didn't want us listening to, and that kind of thing.
Right.
But for the most part, those are really the only two that I recall.
That
I
you,
mean, we
yeah.
were watching a lot of Disney back then, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause did y'all ever get bored with that, like not being able to watch the things that you wanted to watch, and then seeing things that you thought were funny or fun, and
Um,
and and your
I
parents were like,
mean,
"No, you can't
not
watch it."
not too often. I Yeah, I'm trying to remember, and like really, like that was the main thing that stuck out to me. Is like I wanted to, I don't even care about those really anymore. But back then, I wanted to watch my soap operas, and I'm trying to think. No, because
Okay.
we didn't really. I mean, it just wasn't. We didn't feel deprived in that way. I mean, maybe a little bit on the music and the music video.
Hmm.
Other than that, I mean, we just were watching, just watching
Now
cartoons and things.
I wanted to interview your mama too, but she was like she didn't think that it would help because when it comes to like marriage, and you said that your dad was like not really like loud and boisterous, and if you see men today, but if you see her and him together, you see the respect, the mutual respect that
Absolutely.
they have for each other, and the fact that she respects him and he doesn't have to get loud. Like me and her were talking when we were all in the group talking,
Hmm.
and he was like, "I want to talk to you." She immediately left us. He didn't have to walk up and say, "Hey, come here." He stood there and was like, "Let me talk to you." And he needed something, and she immediately stopped
Hmm.
and went over there and saw what he needed from her. So when we look at today's society, how is it that he didn't have to be loud? Like he
I
didn't
don't.
have to let y'all know, hey, I'm the leader.
I I would have to say, and I've never really thought about it, but it has to be the guidance of the Holy Spirit, because
Hmm.
that he made a decision. So two things: he made a decision that this is the way that he wanted to be as a husband and father,
Right.
because that's not how he grew up. He grew up
Right.
seeing
Hmm.
an abusive father,
Right.
neglecting, one that
Mm-hmm.
neglected the family and this and that. He made a
Right.
decision that that's not how
Right.
he wanted to be. And so, not that he never get upset or never
Right.
frustrated. Some of the like but he was just never like loud and like
Right.
yelling and grabbing you and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Never did that, but one time Ashley and I did something. I can't remember. I can't remember even what it was. Ashley and I
Right.
did something, and he said, "Don't you ever like," and
Right.
just not yelling, but he was
Right.
just, "Don't
Just
you
firm.
ever do that again."
Right.
And you talk about, we were crying and just sorry, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and like he did not raise his voice, but
Right.
you could tell he was serious. He was like,
Disappointed.
whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
he never did it again. I
Right.
don't remember
Exactly.
what it was. All I remember was his tone.
Right.
And so same for my mom. And she, like I said, she was more of the disciplinarian, because we were with her more often. And
Mm-hmm.
but she was the same. She
Right.
didn't yell. She did have to give some spankings here and there, but
Right.
from what I remember, my dad probably did, but I just can't remember.
Right.
But yeah, the both of them were not like,
They
um
didn't have to be
they didn't
loud.
have to be loud. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be abusive. They didn't have to do any of that. Just
Now,
firm,
where
firm.
did that come from? That as young children, all your father had to do was give you a certain tone, cause you have to whoop kids, especially when I was
Yeah.
coming up.
Oh, I
Like
know.
for me, I
No.
had to get a whooping to really understand
Mhm.
you.
Yeah,
Like,
I
was that
see.
more about just the love and didn't want to disappoint them?
Yeah, probably so. And they started with us like young. They would
Mm,
tell us stories like, apparently I was acting up in a restaurant at like 1, 2 years old, and my dad said my mom took me out. Whatever she did to me, he said when I came back, I sat at that table and I
right.
didn't mess. I was not loud, and I sat in my high chair and I had my food, and that's it. So, they started young, and
Yeah.
made it plain, like,
Exactly.
this is the way it is, um, and you're not going to talk any kind of way to us, um, and they had expectations for us.
Right.
We knew that we were going to be good in school, whether
Mm,
whether it was elementary school or Bible school.
right.
And not to say that we were just coming up just perfect little children. No,
Right.
it was just, um, we got back on track. When we got off track, we got back on track. And so
Right.
my sister and I are very different in that respect. I was more
Right.
quiet, but I did, have certain things that sometimes I would get in talking too much in class or this and
Yeah.
that. But um, I
Just
just,
the normal kid stuff.
yeah, just normal kid stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, um, always knew that there was an expectation, and not just from them, that there
Right.
was an expectation from God that I act,
Yeah.
a certain way, that
Hmm.
I'm an example to others.
Right.
That's how others will come to know the love of God, is based
Hmm.
on how we act. And one thing you don't want to do is be hypocritical, because
Right.
hypocritical, then people are like, who is this God that you talking about when you act like
Exactly.
such and such? So you can't, you know,
Play around
can't
with it.
do it. But I mean, I by any means want to come across like we were perfect. We were not.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
And I
So
think a lot of things that you're saying is very important, and the reason why I wanted to do this interview. Like I said, and I talked to your father. I said, I'm doing the interview with Abram. He was like, okay. I said, and it was because of you. And he was standing there, and I said, let me explain that, because he was looking like, what you talking about? Like,
mhm,
how did I inspire it? Then I told him. And
mhm,
then he started to talking to me, because when they came over to Chelsea, I was like, we see a lot of people that don't follow their husbands like that, and
Mm,
into a neighborhood that wasn't that good, and you
mhm.
came over there to start something new, and it was out of the norm, and we were just talking. But when you get now, let's get into when you y'all hit y'all teenage years, like.
Well,
That's the time people, the young ladies and young men start feeling themselves. What
yeah.
did y'all wrestle with once y'all hit those teenage years, or did y'all have a real struggle?
Uh, I would say for the most part, I don't think there was much struggle in terms of like attending worship and
Hmm.
being involved. Like there wasn't much struggle with that.
Right.
Now, when the boys came into the picture,
Hmm.
um, wanting to be hanging with certain friends,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, there might have been a little pushback on that.
Right. Right.
Just coming up, but
Hmm.
and my sister would probably have a very different story, but for me, that was those were the main things, and uh I just remember like for coming up for me, like I was still very much in kind of a shell and
Yeah.
known to be quiet and
Hmm.
shy. I mean, I've changed quite a bit since that time, so there weren't as many stories for me because I
Right.
just wasn't doing much. I was very much into my classwork, studying.
Right.
Um, so that path of I ended up graduating valedictorian. So that kind of
Mm.
like that trajectory for me was a little different. Um,
Right.
and so yeah, but for the most part, we were it was still the same.
Yeah.
It just graduated to being in the youth group,
Hmm.
being very much involved in that, and the expectation was that we were going to do that and focus on our studies. They didn't they didn't make us work because they wanted us to be able to
Um.
focus on school. And
Yeah.
um sometimes I wondered about that because I was like, I need some money, but they were
Yeah.
like, we will take care of it. Y'all
Mm.
focus on the studies and being in the youth group.
Yeah. Now that's something. Now that's interesting because a lot of parents, they kind of push for their kids at 16 to start. Like
Mm.
you said, hey, you want certain things, go get you a job and go work for it. And like you just said, you like, I need some money, and they were like, no, I want you to focus on your studies.
Yeah.
Do you think that that could work, like today in today's society, like even the way that they raised y'all? Do you think they could apply those same things, or parents could apply the same things to today and get the same results?
Um, it probably varies. Like every household would be
Hmm.
different. It worked for us, and we were coming up in we were teens in the '90s, so
Right.
things were very different
Hmm.
then than they are
By
now. So
now.
it might still work, but it's totally understandable if like you got to help or have your own income as
Hmm.
like I get that.
Right.
I do because it's different today in
It
this
is.
political climate. So
Right.
yeah.
So, like, okay, so you with all of the things that's going on right now, do you see things that people can do, like as far as just the aspect of, because I see a lot of parents now, they give their children so much leeway to serving God,
Mm.
to where they're like, they don't understand as much, so they don't, it's like, I'm not pushing that on them. Do you think that that's a mistake, and
Mm.
that's the biggest problem today?
Oh, oh, that's a good question. I so I don't know honestly. I don't have any children, so
Right.
I'm just going based off of my experience as a daughter of Brett and Leela Fox. So Um, they would probably say you need to start, like, don't
Yeah.
wait. Like, they
Mm,
started very young with us, so
yeah.
that it wasn't even
Question.
that's where it comes from, that there wasn't a question, because
Right.
we have been doing it for so long. By the time we were um in kindergarten, first, second grade, like, we already knew what it was. Like, it wasn't
Right.
a question. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, what it might have been like if they had waited,
Mm,
if they had
yeah.
kind of let us
Figure things out. Yeah.
do our own thing, and then,
Mm-hmm.
when we get older, they're like, well, you need to be going and participating in these things. And yeah, it might have been a little bit different. Like, so
Yeah.
everybody, I wouldn't want to say just pinpoint everybody do the same thing, because that's
Right.
we wouldn't have it anyway. Everybody's going to do something different. But the suggestion, and from what I would think my parents would say, the suggestion would be to start young. Like, as soon
Mm-hmm.
as they can start understanding, yes, no, don't do that. You do this. You are quiet. You pray. Like, if you're in church, you're gonna sit there, even if you're little. You know how to put your hands together, nod your,
Right.
bow your head. Like, you can do that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a practice. It's like you have to be repetitive when
Right.
you're young, because they're not gonna understand why.
Right.
You kind of have to go through the motions that when they're young, because they don't know. And
Exactly.
so that by the time you get older, you're like, oh, okay, Bible class, we're going to be in worship service, we're going to participate in vacation Bible school, we're going to be doing activities with other youth groups, things like that, so that by the time you get to be graduating from high school, there's that foundation, so that hopefully, because college is a whole different story.
Oh, that's
You
what I
can,
want to get
you
into
can
next. I'm glad
lose,
you mentioned that.
lose it in college. So hopefully, by the time you get to college, that foundation is there, because there will
Mm-hmm.
be so many temptations to be away from home, to be out your parents' house. Sometimes, because I went to the dorms and then back to my parents' house and then back
Yeah.
to the dorm.
Right.
But yeah, that definitely got to have a firm foundation, because
Now you mentioned the college years.
mhm.
Like, was that at the time that your faith became your faith and not your parents' faith?
That's good. I would say definitely. I feel like as I got and became an older teenager, I was starting to really kind of get that. But college, it's like you're transforming. You're becoming like this young adult that's
Mm,
making decisions, that doesn't have to ask parents about doing certain things. Um, So I would say it becomes like a question you have to ask yourself:
mm,
am I still doing this? Because um I think for the first, was I still going to North Road? Okay, so I was still attending, even in college I was still attending the North Road congregation at that time with my parents, and so
right.
my sister was still there. And so I'm trying to think when I really got out on my own.
Yeah.
That was probably in my mid 20s. So I was out of
Mm,
school. I was out of school. But yes, I would say that even in college, like, there was still an expectation, but the decision was mine at that point.
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I'm an adult.
Right.
I I I didn't have a car, so for for a lot of the time, so my parents were picking me up, so I didn't even have a choice then.
Right.
But but yes, I would say that it was forming. I think really in my mid 20s is when I just, it became like, this is my journey, because I had really broken off. I had been
Mm-hmm.
living on my own. I started going to another congregation in South Haven, so I was just becoming my own woman
Person.
outside, and but all of that build up, the
Right.
foundational things, are what kept me thinking like it's Sunday, get up, get
Right.
this,
Exactly.
and you're going to worship
To
service.
worship.
So, yep.
And I love that we're doing this because my story was like I didn't go to college out of high school. I went to Job Corps in Atlanta. And that was kind of like my
Mm-hmm.
introduction to something different because I saw a whole lot of stuff. I was telling my mom and my auntie the other day, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, because even at that time, I wasn't saved. I wasn't in church. I didn't go to church a lot when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good to know that you can. It everything doesn't work the same, but I think it's kind of like you can see where God is working on the ones that he knows our heart, so
Mm-hmm.
he knows how to move. Because I didn't get baptized till I came back home from Atlanta in
Mm-hmm.
2003. So with all of that being said, what were the challenges that you faced when you made that transition? Whether it be, did you ever have doubts, questions, or pressures that you faced?
Um, I would say no. That didn't have any doubts. Some of the pressures may have been like, my friends thinking like, why are you, like, why do you do this, why you act the way that
Right,
you act, why are you, I'm not trying to be like goody, what they call goody two,
right, goody two shoe,
like,
holier than thou.
I'm holier than now. That's kind of how it was. So it was a struggle because I want to be seen
Mm,
as like, I'm cool
right,
like y'all, but so I would say the peer pressure was probably
right,
the thing because I still knew, like, regardless, I'm going to be involved in some church. So
yeah,
I was like, that's not a question. But it did sometimes I did get the questions of why you do this, why you act like this.
hmm
And so, I mean, it goes back to like, you are a representative. Like,
hmm
I'm a representative of this faith that I claim to have.
right,
As a follower, there are certain things I don't say, like why you aren't cursing somebody out
exactly,
because I'm a Christian. Okay,
right,
like,
right,
I'm not just one that claims to be a Christian. Like, I actually am trying to live the life I'm supposed
exactly,
to live. I mean, I not again that I wasn't perfect, but I did
hmm
try to
right,
live the life that I was supposed to live, and I mean, can't say it was. Yeah, I definitely can't say it was perfect because I was, that struggle of like wanting to be at the parties and wanting to,
right,
like, hanging with them, and it just. But so that those years of like college and early 20s, um, when you're developing that young adulthood, like, who am I going
hmm
to be? Who do I claim to be?
right,
And so I would say by the time I like moved and had started working and got a place and living my own, I didn't have as much peer pressure. I will say
right,
that. It was like those days were kind of like, I don't really care anymore. Like, I don't
right,
care the way I did when I was in college. Now I'm up here like I got a mortgage, so I don't
right.
care. I mean,
How cool I am, right?
like, yeah, I've got to pay bills. I mean, I'm living this
hmm
adult life, so it just changes. But
Yeah,
but
because
I
that brings me to the next thing, the next topic I want to talk about, the changes you just mentioned, like recognizing that it doesn't matter what people think about
mm,
my faith walk anymore. Because
yeah.
I know now I got bigger things to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that? how did your relationship with Jesus have to grow then? How did you, keep it intact and not get, so focused on, oh, I got a mortgage, I got to do this, I got to do that.
Hmm. Oh man, it was just like coming out of college into adulthood. I'd
Mm-hmm.
say that it was there were really good times, but there were really low times.
Mm.
I've dealt with like self-esteem issues. I've
Yeah,
dealt
yeah.
with like being depressed, and that was like a majority of like my late 20. I mean, it was also like into my teen years, but it
Mm.
just seemed like I I was just depending on my faith so heavily because I just was like I don't understand some things. I
Mm.
I want some things. I'm not getting the things I want. And it's just so many, so many. And so I just am so grateful that I had the relationship. I had the faith because something that I think about all the time is like if you don't have a relationship with God and that faith, then who do you turn to? What do you do?
Right.
'Cause I had to have that.
Yeah.
I I needed it so much, and
Right.
um, like I had to wrestle. I had to wrestle
Yeah.
with dealing with things, and God allowed certain people to be in my life
Mm.
outside of my family.
Right.
Like I needed other people to kind of pour into me to
Mm.
help me to see that you don't have to deal with these things, and or if
By your,
you need to get help. I just am so grateful. Like I'm so grateful that God allowed me uh to come out of that. But that having that experience has allowed me to help others who I see who
yeah.
might be struggling. So I do understand kind of why I went through some things. I didn't
Right.
understand it at the time, but now I can have a softer heart. I can have empathy. I can
Mm.
um not be so quick to judge
Right.
because everybody's going through something and it can manifest in different ways. You think they're just acting out, but really they might have some uh
Real deep with this.
really
Mm.
deep, yeah, deep rooted issues. So um that's kind of what started happening into my adult years is that
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of these pressures of life and not really feeling like valued, and
Mm.
so all that's what was starting to happen. And so um
Right.
that's where my relationship with Christ was like, this is
You
my
gotta grow.
friend. He got me. I don't have to worry about this. And so I would still worry. I would still be anxious. And even
Right.
though the Bible says don't be anxious,
Mm-hmm.
but just constantly having that's why it's like a renewal. Like you gotta
Right.
constantly, you're never gonna just have it all together.
Right.
At any point in your life, you'll never just be like, I am perfect. So
Exactly.
that relationship has to like constantly be growing and changing. What you needed in your 20s, like might not need that. You need something different in your 30s and your 40s,
Right.
so on. So I would say that would be like the change from being a young person to being an adult.
Now was it that your family couldn't help the way you needed them to, or you tell them and they couldn't help, or you
Hmm.
told them and they tried to help but they couldn't really be like you said that objective
Right.
party to pour into you
Um,
so you could come
I
out of it.
well, so the thing is, I think they could help. They tried to, but
Mm-hmm.
the person who he was a minister, a young adult minister.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hold back. Like he wasn't.
Right, right,
He
right.
he was direct. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, April, you need to get in the driver's seat of your life. You need to
Mm.
stop being the passenger. You need to stop letting these demons of low self esteem and self doubt and depression like rule you. And I ain't never been talked to like
Right.
that. You know, I was like,
Yeah. What?
what? Okay, but it was that, and then somebody else was like, it was another church member. He wasn't even trying to. I was talking about trying to ask for a raise on a job, but
Mm.
he was like, April, you can ask for this raise, because we were like sitting around in the living room and a bunch of young adults talking, and he was like, you're valuable. And when
Right.
I tell you, I cried all the way home.
Mm.
Like, I realized you don't think you're valuable
Mm.
in God's eyes. I was like, really?
Exactly.
So it was things like that. It was just that I was in a different setting. Like, I was an adult at this point, like mid-20s
Yeah.
or even late 20s at that point. And so it's not that my parents weren't there or
Trying.
trying. It's just I wasn't in their house anymore. I went
Right.
to a different congregation. So I was like just in a different setting. But I'm grateful that God allowed these people to be in my life because
Yeah.
it changed me. Like,
Yeah.
I put in the work to be
Yeah.
like, you know what? No, I
Yeah.
I have dealt with this too long.
Exactly.
And, so for some, I would say if you need therapy or whatever it is, do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I probably do need to have some therapy, but but coming up with a counselor as a father, my dad being a counselor, mom psychologist, it felt
Yeah.
like I had therapy anyway.
Right.
But whatever that path is to kind of get, I would recommend to anybody who has like mental health issues to just like
Right.
figure it out what you need to do and make it a priority. Um, because that's definitely was like the 30s, late 20s, 30s when
Yeah.
that really kind of started to surface. Um, but now, uh, I'm just like I look back on it and I haven't really thought about it in a while, but those were like transformative years, and I'm just grateful for it. And so, like I said, I think God wanted me to
Yeah.
experience it for a reason. Um, and maybe those reasons are still going to be revealed to me. Some other reasons of why I went through those things,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say,
Cause you know that I'm a lot of what you just said is so important, and you are here because you helping me. Cause like a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I'm like that. You know, it sounds like I'm not being empathetic, but
hmm
I think that it's important for people to just know, like, I can't, I feel your pain, but you know,
right,
I know some of your pain is just you're deciding that you don't want to do what
hmm
you said, the
yeah,
work.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's an important thing. So you just helped me because a lot of times I'd be like, "Am I too?" You know,
No,
too
no,
because it's because I
yeah,
come off like
you
they
came
people
from a
be
good
you
place.
don't care.
Yeah,
They
and so
think you
that's
don't
where it
care.
came from. I knew that they all cared. I knew like
Mm,
um it wasn't just somebody who I could see who was living a certain way. Um, you know, I knew that it was coming from the right place. I knew,
right. Oh, so
but
now what
I had
what do
never
you
experienced it like that.
like that? Like somebody like you said, because you was always quiet and people always try to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I know we try to, like you say, be empathetic. You know, we try to handle people with kid gloves because, and then us as black people, we don't want to think something's wrong with us mentally.
Right.
But my auntie always say to me, she was like, "We all mental, but you
Mm,
know, we just some of us know how to function better in it,
that's
Y- and
you said
some
the
people
word.
just let it just get the
Word.
best of them." Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
how do you do today, like with your faith and keeping it strong today, like right now in your life today, after going through those things?
hmm Um, at this time in my life, like I am, I'm involved in several ministries.
Mm,
I am, um, just constantly trying to uh, be self aware. It's something
Right.
I mentioned in Bible class on Sunday, actually, is that you got to be self aware. Like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
ever think that, well, the thing that I said was like, if you never feel any kind of like struggle or tension or like, should
Mm.
I do this, should I do that, like if you just floating through life and you don't never feel like something's wrong, like at
Yeah.
some point you should feel like, asking God to guide me, asking God to
Mm.
say, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And I feel like that's kind of where I am in my life. It's like,
Mm.
I am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I there are certain things that I feel like um they don't mean as much to me, like when I was in my 20s, like going out doing this,
Mm.
parties and this and that. I don't care about that kind of stuff anymore. So you can kind of get like settled, like I'm
Yeah.
doing all right. I'm doing no, things are fine.
Right.
But to examine your heart, and like one of my favorite scriptures is Psalm 51:10, like create in me a clean heart,
Clean heart.
God, and renew a right spirit within
Mm.
me. It's like I have to renew and think about this on a regular basis, because I can get I can get into like the things now. My thing is like I have hobbies and like things
Mm.
that I enjoy. Like I'm a big time sports fan, and so like
Right.
my time can be pulled in different directions, and I'm like I still got to make sure that God is first.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
it is God first, and sometimes like these, you might not, the devil might not be able to get to you with drugs, alcohol, uh, partying, doing all kind of criminal activity. That's not my life. But
Exactly.
he can sneak in and be like,
So.
uh I'm gonna make sure that she's complacent. I'm gonna make sure that she got distractions. I'm gonna make sure that she is not like praying as much. And I'm saying all these things to myself now, like, April, you could do better.
Yeah.
um and so I would say that's probably where I am at this point, is that I have to uh constantly renew, constantly check,
Mm.
make sure that I'm self aware
Yeah.
of my uh, spiritual health. Like I feel like I've gotten so much better in the mental health side, but gotta make sure that everything, all the other
That's.
physical, mental,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual,
Mm.
all of them kind of are aligned, and what God would want me to be. And so, um, actually, I'm very appreciative of this conversation, because it's going to help me
It's
to
helping me
yeah.
because I'm like that. I tell my mama all the time, like she was saying holidays are not the same. I was like, it's not that it's not the same. We've just done it so much and we do things. And I told her, I said, I've done some things in my life where I don't always have to be doing something.
Yeah.
Like I've fallen more in love with God now
Mm-hmm.
because I took a chance on myself to say, I'm gonna start doing this content creation full time. And
Mm-hmm.
I walked away from my job. But it was like you feel like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I even told people before I left, I was like, I was always taking my frustrations out on y'all. It wasn't you all. It was me. Because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like where I was at in my life. So I'm loving this conversation cuz and that's why I wanted to do it because I always hear your father say, they didn't have a choice. And I'm like, how do kids feel when they really don't have a choice? And
Yeah.
then we live in a society now where kids are able to make their own choices, but they know how to play with a laptop. They know how to play with a tablet or phone.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
you're telling them that you're not old enough to understand who saved your life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just strange to me.
Right.
Now, how much gratitude looking back do you have for your parents bringing you up the way that they did?
Mm. I
even though you struggle with the
right.
mental health and the
Yeah.
depression.
Yeah, I like I am grateful to God. I mean, there's just I tell them, I tell them I tell them especially when Mothers and Fathers Day roll around, it's like I understand now
Mm,
why some of the things happened when we were younger and the decisions that they made, some of the
mm-hmm,
like difficult decisions that they made. Um, we were attending like one of the decisions was we were attending a predominantly white congregation
mm-hmm.
and a school. So this was in well, late 80s.
Right.
And so all my friends from church and school, I had mostly white friends, um, church white, school white. And so they took us out of that. Changed churches, changed schools. I mean, I was like, what in what? I couldn't understand it. I was like, why would you
Would
do this?
do
Why
that.
would and I just was so upset and like in dealing with things in my as a little 10-year old, like I don't 9, 10. I was like, what in the world? And um it wasn't until like years later as a young adult teenager that understood, but as an adult I definitely understand. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted to implement some um make sure that we had our culture. uh
Right, right.
so when we so we went to from that environment to the schools were kind of they were kind of mixed, but the church was predominantly black. And so um we could have stayed where we were, but the
Mm,
decision that they made, I didn't understand it.
yeah,
But I would say that was part of the foundational thing. Like I have such an appreciation and love for my culture now. I don't know whether I would have had that if we had stayed
right,
in that environment for my whole upbringing. And so those were some of the decisions like that that they made outside of us having to be in in the building. Um,
right,
but as an adult, I was like, I appreciate them so much.
right.
But I think the thing I appreciate the most is just that the example, like the
Mm-hmm.
constant example. I didn't have to feel like they were ever fake. They were sincere. Like as an adult, I value authenticity and like
Right.
being real.
Mm-hmm.
And they were real. Like
Right.
when you see them being like kind and um like just the personality of being um not 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 weak. Like
Right.
my parents aren't weak. They just are trying to be more like Jesus. That's what it
Yeah.
is. I mean, they're
Yeah.
trying to be like Jesus. Like, well, you've heard my dad preach. Like he gets
Yeah.
he gets kind of excited and
Yeah.
fiery. But that was what we would joke with people. Like that's the only time we ever hear him yell.
Yeah.
Is when he's is when he
But that's
preaches.
the thing, like my grandma, that's the thing me and my grandma used to always laugh about. He would be up there, he'll be preaching, and then he would get so
Yep.
emotional because he be like, I want to go to heaven so bad, and then he'll tear up. And my
Mhm.
grandma said, uh-oh, there you go. Let me give my baby some
Yep.
tissue. Because
I
it was just the thing, but we knew it was genuine. We
Yep.
knew that he
That's it.
loved
And
the
I would
Lord because he would always do it. When he got into it, he would always say, he said, that's why I don't preach about heaven as
right.
much
Yep.
because
There you go.
it'll make me, it gets me emotional. And we always used to just be like, there he go, he finna do it. And but we knew it was because he really genuinely, loved the
Hmm.
Lord. And it was like, yeah, and that's what you do need, because I think a lot of young people, you hear it all the time. I grew up in the church, but even though you grew up in the church, did you grow up in the church. Like, cause you go to that building don't mean you grew up in
Right.
the church, because
Yeah.
it starts at home. Like,
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't matter how much you go to that building. Like, that
Right.
doesn't mean you really grew up in church,
I
because
was
you, what are
that
you learning when you at home?
that's what I
Like,
love so much. It's like it wasn't a some people put on like a front like
mm-hmm.
they be one way at church and
Right.
another way at home. Like that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
it was the
Right.
same. And
All the time.
I would say that's what I appreciate the most. And that's part of why I will credit them with helping me in my spiritual journey because
Right.
I saw what I saw at home and what I saw when we were in church or worship services or Bible class or whatever. It wasn't like I'm seeing two different people, you
Yeah.
know, like this is the same person here and there, and what they are trying to instill in me, they are living that. Like
Right.
they are living the life that they want. They're wanting me. They're not necessarily forcing me. Now, physically, yes, I had to be in the building
Right.
with them. But you can't force anybody to like want and they never did that. Like when Ashley and
Exactly.
I decided that we wanted to be Christians and be baptized, like that was on us.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
decision we made. We told them that that's what we wanted to do, and we talked about it and all this and that. So that's something like you can't you. I would say it for parents, definitely don't like push that. Like don't push a life changing experience like that. That's a decision that you got to make within your heart, within
Yeah.
yourself. Um, and just hope that they're seeing that pattern. And so for me, I was 12. I can't remember Ashley how old she was, but it's gonna be different for everybody.
It is.
Like my dad wasn't a Christian until he was an adult. So
Right.
and you see what he's become,
What
and
happened?
he
Yeah.
didn't have the examples. Like he didn't have
Right.
any of that. He just knew that he wanted to be different.
Right. Cause I was 23 when I came back home and I got baptized.
Hmm.
And we're getting close to the end of the interview. I got two more questions, but
Okay.
like the just your parents' faith, and I think mine was dealing with my grandmother's faith. Cause when I decided to leave Chelsea, it was never about you know how Brother Fox preached. I love this teaching. And I love the closeness that we had at Chelsea because we all knew each other. It was literally like a family. But I also knew that I had to grow, and I wasn't experiencing that. Not because I wasn't being taught, but I think I stayed there out of loyalty to my grandmother. Because
Hmm.
even when she passed, my grandfather was like, stay there, stay there. That's where your grandmama went. And I'm like, yeah, but little things that would bother me, I felt like at this point in my life, it shouldn't have bothered me. And it
Hmm.
was like, was I growing? And was I trying to grow?
Hmm.
Because even though Brother Fox was preaching his heart out, I'm like, but what am I doing, outside of that? So
Hmm.
I wanted to ask, like, what would you say to people who are living off of their parents' faith? Like,
Mm.
what would you say to them? Like, what
I,
would you somebody like me who was living off my feeling
yeah,
like I feeling
yeah,
like I was living off my grandmama's faith?
yeah. No, I think exactly what you said. It's time to be self aware. It's time to decide like for yourself. And so, um, there was a time in my was it late 20s? I can't even remember what year. Whatever I decided to leave, um, I can't even remember. All I know is I went and I was going to Northwest Church of Christ is where I
Right,
when I left and like branched out on my own. And like it was a tough decision, but it was like, and I've had to make it again because I left Northwest and went somewhere. So
right,
um it's just one of those things like you know it, it may be difficult, but you need to ask yourself, like, is this where I need to be?
Hmm.
And sometimes that's you have to have those difficult, crucial conversations. Like
Right.
you have to do that. So, and I think it's important in every adult, Christian life that you do that, because it cannot be based off somebody else. It can't
Right.
be based off somebody else. Like,
Yep.
if you're doing that, then like you say, when people pass away, like where does
What am I
that
gonna
leave you?
do?
Where does that leave you? And
Yep.
so the relationship has to be with God,
Yep.
and sometimes that will lead you down a different road. You might say, I need to branch out. I need to try something else. I'm okay with all of that.
And I brought that, I brought me up because I felt like, cause now I'm like my grandmama now, like under no circumstances I gotta be like down sick. I'm getting up,
Mm,
and going to worship service if I have the opportunity. But when she passed, I didn't really recognize it, but I didn't care about what time I made it to service. It was almost like most people. Like I get there, just the fact that I came was like good enough.
yeah.
But she would always be upset with me coming to get her late for like Sunday school. And
Mm.
I didn't understand like why is she getting upset? We gonna get there. But now it's like with me really just focusing on my relationship with Christ, I'm like, I see why she was like, no, you don't play, don't be walking in when you feel like it. And I was like, now I get it. So the
Mm-hmm.
last question I want to talk about, what is your hope? Like you say you are involved in a lot of ministries. What is your hope for the next generation of believers when you're putting in the work?
Whew. Oh man. So I mean, I just feel like with this generation, like I didn't come up in social media. Uh,
Hmm.
I feel like social media has such there's good and bad with it. There's good and
Right.
bad. I just hope that this new generation is able to decipher the truth.
Hmm.
Like, it's now so much fake is out there, so much like hatred, so much like it's just so much that you gotta go through to be a um if you're trying to be a Christian. And I don't even know what they go through. I'm just saying, like,
Right.
I like just from my like experience of seeing what's
Hmm.
happening, like, be able to be bold, um even when like people will tear you down. Like, I just I couldn't imagine what they have to experience. But hopefully, like, ultimately, I want the next generation to have joy and to
Yeah.
experience that joy of living for Christ. Like, to and however that manifests, like, whether it's on social media or not. Um I just feel like that's such a big part of young people's lives now. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, they know how to use these tablets and be on, I don't even, Roblox, and I don't even know what that like all this other
Right.
stuff.
I hear people talking about
So
that. I never even
it's,
really
it's,
gotten
it's
into it.
just a bunch of distractions, I think. But
Uh-huh.
but basically that, um like, that allow that joy to, like, propel them forward, and however way that comes about.
Yeah.
um I think that would be my hope for them, because
Yeah. Cause
I
I think a lot of people are teaching our young people things that they don't need to be concerned with a big part of the time. Like as far as us being black, I don't feel like you should teach your children. Like you don't have. It's almost like you don't have no hope.
mm,
And that Christianity is your problem.
oh,
And
yeah,
I
it's a
think
lot
that's
of
a
that.
bad. I
Yeah,
think that's a
it's a lot of
bad
that. That's
thing.
what I'm
Not,
saying. Like, they
yeah.
get on here and it's stuff that they saying is not true, and
Right.
you start getting caught up in it. Mm-mm.
And that's why I wanted to do this because I get why a lot of kids go to church and sit there and they feel like, man, why I got to do this? But to hear somebody's story, and like you said, to make sure that you reiterate, like, it was not perfect
Mm-mm.
and it's a journey, but you can do it,
Yes.
and it takes relationship. It's not just about oh, I'm a Christian. It's about real discipleship and being, actually being in relationship with Christ.
Yes.
So I think that's what they need too. Like, just knowing that you can have joy,
Mm.
even if but you're gonna go through things. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
that it's gonna be perfect, but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gonna go through some
That's
stuff.
definitely why I say joy. I want them to be happy too. I want them to
Right.
have happiness too, but joy will, like, joy is just a different thing. It's
Yeah.
something that you got to work for, and even in those trying times, like, that those things can be going on around you.
Hmm.
If you can still, like, manage to have joy and peace and hope and faith, like, that's what I want for the future.
Yes.
I want it for now too,
Right. Yeah, I know that's right. But
but
yeah, but the
yeah,
next generation, that's gonna carry on after us. Yeah. I enjoyed this conversation, and
yes,
and
me
I
too.
I hope and pray that this is not the last time that we can do something together. But
Sure.
guys, I hope that you also, whoever watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like and subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so you know when your girl is posting. Let's reprogram our thinking, guys. Let's get back to love. Let's recover the life that the devil tries to take from us each
Yeah.
and every day. And most importantly, God may not be there when you want him, but he'll be there in the nick of time. And
Mhm.
allow the scriptures to speak. And I hope that you listen. But don't just be a hearer of the word, also be a doer. And I appreciate you again, April.
Yes. Thank
And
you so much.
tell mom and dad I said hey, and tell
I
them I'm not
will.
gonna be a stranger.
I will. I
All
will.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.